Freedom, freedom, freedom over fame. Freedom over cycle stays the same.
Welcome into today's episode of How to Ride a Roller Coaster. My guest today is Mr. Josh Booty. The accolades don't do it justice, and I'm going to leave some things out, I have no doubt. But Josh is a former NFL and Major League Baseball player, one of the most prolific high school football careers in history, named as one of the top 50 greatest high school athletes of all time, starting quarterback in college under Nick Saban at LSU, part of the Florida Marlins 1997 World Series team, drafted to play football in the NFL in 2001. After Josh's playing days, he worked with companies like Fox Sports, ESPN, CBS Sports, MLB Network as a radio and TV personality. And, of course, like he doesn't have a million other things, now he and his brother Jack have started a social challenge app called Bula. And like I said, I have no doubt that I've left off something, but Josh, how's it going,
I'm doing
man?
awesome, man. I appreciate that introduction, and you didn't leave much out. I can promise you that. I've been very fortunate and have a great family and upbringing, but just to be a part of great organizations, great teams, a great university, LSU, and of course Nick Saban. That's like riding a roller coaster in itself. So I'm glad I'm glad we could speak a little bit today on entrepreneurship and business life and also bring some of those sports lessons over. So this is really cool, Dave. I appreciate you having me.
Anytime. So, without any further ado, tell me more about Bula. Tell me kind of what it is.
Yeah, we're super stoked. So this week is our really version 1 launch week, and we're launching at LSU for an event Friday night. But Bula is the first ever social challenge platform with a verdict on the blockchain where you can record and post like back-to-back videos with your friends, challenging, wagering, daring anyone, anytime, anything, on social. So it's really a social call to action app or a social challenge app. And so when we try to explain it, it's to make it simple. We say it's TikTok with a verdict, right? And we're going to have wallet functionality and we're going to have banking and all that coming in 2023. But right now it's really the Disney version to get people just challenging their friends, having fun. It's kind of next level social. We looked at social and content because content is king, right? And we looked at Instagram and TikTok and Snap and everything that everybody does all the time, which has got hundreds of millions of followers and users and usage, and we go, okay, what's really next in really the life cycle of social? And we're like, it's going to be around forever, but right now content is really past to present in terms of like me and you might be at an LSU game, or me and you might be at a Pelicans game, or I'm thinking a Mavs game, and we'll take our pick and we'll post it on social, or we're at a dinner or whatever, an event, and then everybody sees it, but it's already happened, right? So it's really past the present. It can take you almost to the present. I mean, it can almost be real life, but there's nothing really that has ever gone from present to future in terms of social. And this is the only way to get there would be to have a call to action. So I could bet you in a video game, or I could challenge you in a mile run, or it could be, a bar game, or you can't get the girl's number at the bar, or it could be a LSU football game this weekend, or who's going to win, who's going to be the next president, and you can have so much fun with this. So it's like Dude Perfect, which is there in Dallas where you are, those guys play. It's like Dude Perfect. It's like Jackass. It's like handicapping. It's like, the Ice Bucket Challenge, kind of all rolled into one social environment where you can post, video to video with your friends. It could be on the golf course. It could be absolutely anywhere at any time. And it's you can memorialize it on the blockchain. So it's blank canvas stuff. There's no odds. There's no Vegas lines. We're not the bookie. We're not trying to be Vegas. We're trying to do something completely different. So we're not Barstool. We're not MGM. We're not Caesars. We're not a betting app. We're a challenge app where you can go head to head, peer to peer with your friends. And a lot of it is total skill based stuff. Whether it's you betting a buddy at doing something, or betting your friends that they won't make a trip, or maybe it's a cook off. It doesn't even matter, and that's, you'll see some of that in our marketing. So yeah, bulachallenge.com is our website. We're excited about doing something that no one's ever done before, and that's kind of where we're at with trying to create this challenge platform. Challenge is the number one hashtag in all of social. And so people are doing stuff all the time. We're just trying to catch the day-to-day stuff that happens all the time and put it on social so everybody can have fun with it and make life fun and interactive.
So how did this start? I know that there had to be some, putting it in on the 18th hole, and you're doing it kind of like the manual way. It's like, look, I'm going to do it. Whoever first one to hit it, first one to sink the putt,
Yep.
the loser has to buy dinner. I'm sure it had to happen,
That's
organically like that, and some hardships. And then it was like, wait a
Yep,
minute.
yep. My brother Jack, I'm the co-founder, him and I, and he's my youngest brother. I have three smaller, younger brothers, not smaller, but younger brothers in my family, and he's the youngest. And we all grew up in Louisiana, but we all always challenged each other at everything, whether it's playing horse in the backyard or who hit the most home runs or who had the highest batting average. It was always sports related stuff. But about 2 years ago, we were at my buddy's house in Atlanta. And we were talking about the golf match that day, and we were talking about potentially playing the next day. And he goes, let's play for $10 a hole. And then one of the guys that was there at the house party with us, there was about 6-7 guys. He goes, no, he'd had a couple drinks. He's like, let's play for $1,000 a hole, and he wanted to up the stakes because he had gotten beat that day. And so my brother Jack, who figured this all out, he's like, there should be a platform to memorialize this where you lock it in. And then we started thinking about Web3, blockchain, all that kind of stuff. And we're like, and then social environment. And we started kind of he put it together in his mind a little bit. And then I started saying social would be huge for this. And then we started going. So we showed up to the golf course the next day, and they had made a bet $1,000 a hole. And then when we got there the next morning, the guy's like, man, I'm kind of hungover. We had a few too many drinks. I don't want to play for $1,000 a hole. Let's play for $10. And we're like, wait. We woke up at 6 a.m. to come out here and to hit balls, early to get ready for the round, just so we could play this big bet. Like, I wasn't even in the bet, and I couldn't wait to get up and watch them play for $1,000 a hole, right? And so
Right.
He got there and he nixed that bet. And Jack goes, dude, if we had this where it was locked in on the blockchain, everybody could see it. And then there was a money, wallet functionality to where you had to put the money in before you could accept the bet, or when you accepted it, it turned that on and memorialize it at another level. We're like, dude, there's nothing like that out there. And so that was kind of the reasoning of how we began this process of going down the road to see if we could even make it happen. And we're about to make it a reality. But that was kind of the start of it. Was people, they kind of welch on bets, a lot of times. And they're, you know what, I'll catch you later. I don't have any money on me right now, And you're like, dude, are you kidding me? Venmo me. And then they never do it. And you're like,
Right.
dude, you owe me $200. You never, So it's like, I guess it's just being able to memorialize it on the immutable ledger, which is the blockchain, for everybody to see too. So now there's trash talk involved and stuff like that. So there's a lot of I guess trash talk involved in the app, and that's kind of why we're like, put a Bula on it, instead of put your money where your mouth is, stuff like that. That's really where we want to go with this thing. So Disney environment now, money where your mouth is in 2023, when we can turn on the wallet functionality, the banking, it'll be transaction fees. It'll be 100 to 100 with a transaction fee. We'll never be the bookie. We're not taking a vig, and that's the difference.
So where did you guys go after that? So once you and Jack kind of started to brainstorm on everything, then you start to kind of get into the whole aspect of, well, if we're going to do this thing, we've got to really make it an app. That requires a whole different mode and process and thinking and the tech side and all of that. So where did you guys go after that? That next
Well, neither of us are tech guys, so we're like, we got to have like a technical co-founder, and so we're smart enough to know that we didn't know anything about tech, and we're both sports guys, and we're both entrepreneurial in nature, and we've gotten involved in businesses, but we've never ran our own business, and especially at this level, we wanted to create a global app, and we're like, and we all love social. We're always on it, and we're like, dude, we know how big it is, and so we had to go get a technical co-founder. We found a guy named Michael Kaplovitz, who was neighbors of my guys in Atlanta that we were actually with that day. And he was former head of innovation for the Howard Hughes Corporation. He was on Wall Street before that, just a finance guy and a tech guy, and is a blockchain wizard. So he built cities on the blockchain with Howard Hughes Corporation. and he was head of innovation. So he was kind of always ahead of the curve. And we're like, that's exactly what we need to think about, is that next level thinking, or that's the kind of guy we need, is a next level thinker in terms of Web3 and tokenization and all the stuff that we could potentially do on this type of app or with this type of play. So we brought him on board. He's full time with us, and he's got a security platform called Get Checked, which is hooks into our platform, which has been created by a company called Dual Boot. They're a pretty well-known shop out of San Francisco. They've got offices all over the world. But so Dual Boot and Michael Kaplovitz and his company Get Checked have put this thing together to make it a reality. And they've done a good job. It's taken them a year to do. We've dumped some good money into it, and I've been out, raising capital. We've raised over $1.7 million through friends and
Wow.
family, no institutional money. But we've been out there a year or so, kind of going about bringing this thing to life. And like you said, what was the first few things we did? It was, okay, let's put a company together. Let's get a logo. Let's get a name. And then we got to build this thing to where people want to get on the app. People want to stay on it. The user experience is good. And you know all about that stuff because you probably talked to many people that are even higher level than where we're at, and so we knew where we had to go, but we didn't have any tech experience, so we had to go get those guys. And Michael Kaplovitz involved with us, and then he brought on Dual Boot with kind of our help and us checking off on it. But it's been really good and fun, and then it's been a long road to kind of get this thing to where it is, because there's a lot to it, and you know better than anything in a tech play, man. There's a lot to the platform and coding and all that. So it's taken a little longer than we thought, but we knew that it could take a while to put together.
So what is the kind of like the market reception been
Well,
to
good.
it?
We did a test version, a MVP like test version, and we did that with two events, one in Atlanta and one in Austin. And it was kind of around two football games at the beginning of the year, Oregon, Georgia, and Bama at Texas. And we did these little launch parties, and we wanted to get 1,500 people on it testing the app and just kind of giving us some feedback. And then we were going to step back a month and then build this the growth loops, and then the version 1, and this was kind of our coming out this Friday. So it was good to get those people on there to see what they thought, and it's a very, very simplistic form of where we want to go, but we had to get that peer-to-peer angle going where there was no crashes and people could do a challenge, and then a winner would be awarded. So that verdict is out there. We have a judge capabilities too, so you can add a judge if me and you are at the bar, and it might be something like that's not a game on TV or something, and you can add a judge to get that third person involved, and then they make the decision on who wins the Bula, and then they can. Right now, you'd have to transact, or it could be for pride, but you'd have to transact whatever it is that you're wagering offline, right now. And we might even partner
Gotcha.
with a big company that has all the licenses, and we've been in talks with Bleacher Report and Barstool and MGM and people like that already, and so we're on their radar. It's just a matter of now us getting users and usage and kind of streamlining that path to where people like those big companies go. They've got enough groundswell to for us to get involved, and so that's what we're trying to build right now.
Yeah, and it feels like you mentioned earlier, really taking that play off of the social aspect, because it does feel like people do this kind of thing like just organically all the time with their friends. Just kind of second nature. I can do this faster than you can or better than you
Yeah.
can. But like you mentioned, even with Facebook, like if you take a photo from dinner or at a game, it's up until that
Yeah.
point, and there's no interaction. It stops there. So nobody else can really engage with me and you having a challenge outside of. So I think it's really, really, really cool to be able to kind of involve other people within that
Yeah.
challenge and be able to do that on, a sports basis, on an everyday basis. It just kind of, it feels like it kind of pulls back the curtain a little bit on everybody's friend life and kind of how they are. It's like, oh man, so you guys do the same thing we do. I didn't know anybody Saying who can cook pasta faster,
Yes.
it seems like it could just kind of open up that window and help point that spotlight a little bit and just make it a lot more interactive.
I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like we, with today's content, today's social, there's nothing really to follow. There, you follow the person, but you don't follow the video. You see it and it's over, right? And that's why it goes past the present. There's no present to future, and I think that's the big ticket thing here for us is like if we could create something where we could take that call to action into the future and people could start seeing what people do all the time because they'll get creative. I mean, and then there's viral capabilities of stuff because we watch Dude Perfect stuff all the time and they do their trick shots, right? And they've got millions and millions and millions of followers, but now everybody can be their own Dude Perfect, right? Because you're giving them a platform to do exactly what Dude Perfect is doing, and they can do it with their friends. Maybe it's a one-handed shot from across the basketball court. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be kicking a 50-yard field goal. Can you do it? Who can do it? You could. Right now, you can challenge up to 10 friends, or 10 people can be involved in the challenge. So you can challenge 9 people yourself, and that could be great on the golf course because you'd be like low score today, based on even a handicap. It doesn't matter what you do. And I think there's some partnerships in the e-gaming world and the golf world that are going to come pretty quick for
Yeah.
us. And we've already had some of those discussions with big companies, and we want to SDK into even video games where you could get on Madden and see the Bula logo and click it and
That's
now
cool.
be able to challenge your friends through the video game. And I think that's coming. That's what's next in video gaming too. And those companies are like, "Hi, we've always wondered how to do it." And then this is the way you could do it through a social platform to where it's global. It can reach all over the world. You could bet your buddy in a video game that's in Asia or England or anything. So I think there's a lot of complexities to how we put this whole thing together as we go along, but charity and corporate challenges could be huge for us. The Ice Bucket Challenge, I mentioned that 17 million people played or participated in it. It rose to a lot of awareness, but not everybody wrote a check to ALS. Probably 1% of the people or less. So we're thinking charities, and we've had conversations with big charities. They're like, if you could put this thing together like you say you can, then this thing could be absolutely monstrous for a charity because
Yeah.
I could say I have 500 contacts on Bula. I could I could I could I could challenge all of them $1 or $5 to do the ice bucket. And as soon as they accepted the Bula, the money got exchanged and went to ALS, and then they would have a chance to show the content. But I would know that they're already monetarily involved at $1 or $5 or whatever I put out there for them to accept. So everybody plays a part at a different level, monetary level. And I think charities, from a social aspect, that ALS thing went crazy, but it could do similar things like this, but have a lot more, I guess, trickle down effect from a monetary standpoint, or trickle effect, through something like this. And corporate challenges could be a lot the same. I mean, you could do a Nike Run Challenge, and Nike could send an email out to everybody that they're doing it on Bula, and then it can carry over from their socials and bring it back to our social. And then they could, of course, invite their friends in. And I mean, I think it could just multiply like crazy. So that's something that we're thinking
Yeah.
about for the future.
Yeah, and that's great how you mentioned like the ALS thing because that was something that I guess I hadn't really thought about. It does raise a lot of awareness. You see people challenging their friends, but then on the backside, how much of that is actually how many people are actually donating to the cause that they're promoting, or is it the act of the ice bucket challenge is fun? It's another way to engage with your friends in a competitive way, but is ALS are they still getting that you know that part of the backside.
Yeah.
So I think, like you mentioned, like the addition of like the wallet feature where that part is locked in, you're challenging your friends. It's a win-win for everybody. It's exposure, but it's also pushing the monetary side to the cause that you're trying to support.
Exactly. I think it just not only reaches the people, but it brings the money back in or whatever you're trying to get done. I think you can get it done at a different level, at a much higher level, because everybody that accepts would be participants in really giving to the organization, which is just a huge deal. And I know it rose a ton of awareness, and they did a great job, and a lot of people wrote big checks, but it's all the small checks that they're missing out there through something like this, where it
Yeah,
could make a huge difference, for a charity. And ALS is one. There's a
for
million
sure.
of them out there that could utilize this platform. So that's what we're trying to get to build, because I know we can make a huge difference. And we're going to have a merch site. We're going to have a lot of fun with this thing. So it's going to come out social. It's going to come out fun. But I think that's where we want to get to, is the big corporate and charity challenges as well. I mean, we might even do a Bula pay-per-view one day. There's a lot. There's a lot that we could get to where, like a Jake Paul could
Yeah.
call out somebody on this platform, and people would have to pay to watch this video content. I mean, there's a lot that you could do, a lot that we could do in the future with this thing. But peer-to-peer challenging is where it's going to start, and that's where we have to start.
So let's talk about a little bit from the entrepreneurship side of things. Growing a business, reaching out, to the fans that you're trying to reach out to, the audience, raising capital, all of those different types of things require a little bit of a thick skin, because sometimes you'll hear no, sometimes people won't be quite as excited about the idea as you are, because it's your baby. Do you take any similarities from whenever, like maybe your playing days, when it's resilience, you're down by three in the ninth, whatever the case is, where you've been able to kind of take some of those characteristics and really you've seen that apples to apples transition where you're like, man, I can pull on this, and that's going to help us as an entrepreneur later, and I can instill that in the rest of my team because it won't be foreign to all of us. I can bring that trait
Yeah,
over.
there's a lot that I bring over from sports. There's no doubt about it. And you were an athlete. You're a baseball guy. It's like, and I played for Nick Saban. I always think about Nick Saban because he's such a hard worker, but he's a smart worker. And that's one of the things that I would always, we have a team and we've got project managers and different things. And I'm like, let's work hard, but let's also work smart. And let's it's a lot of times people spin their wheels, especially when you're in an idea business. Like this is, we had an idea, but there's a lot of ideas that we hear from people all the time when we start telling them about Boo. Like, you should do this, you should do this, and it's like, okay, let's hit singles, right? But how do it's like grand slams will come if you hit singles. You know what I'm saying? It's like a sale.
That's
It's
it.
it's like if you're in sales, you don't you might hit a grand slam, but you might not. You know what I'm saying? But you got to hit the singles and then build this thing up, and then someone will come in and want to partner with us, or someone will come in and want to buy you out. And so in an entrepreneurial world, and with us, with people that have entrepreneurial spirits, because we all do inside our organization, it's just like, let's make the most of every day. Just like it's a lot of what Saban, like, let's make today good. Let's make this play good. Let's make this, and it's like the now. If you can dominate the now, then you're going to and dominate it today. Then tomorrow you'll have a different agenda. You'll have maybe the second thing on your checklist, and let's dominate that. And okay, but it's hard when you see these big picture and everybody's pulling at you from different ways, or you got a lot of different things, or you have to raise capital just to make the move on a new feature that we want to put in on the app. So it's like, we've raised some money, but we've sold the dream of this thing. You can't get caught up. You got to work. It's crazy because there's two parts to it. You got to work on what you need to have done, and then you got to sell the dream. You got to work on what you need to have done and sell the dream. And it's like two different
Yeah.
things. You can't work on the dream. You got to work on what you need to have done, but sell the dream. And that's really good for entrepreneurs too, because if you're working on the dream and this huge thing, you will never get anything done, because there's just so much out there in the world. We're talking about charity, corporate and social and all this stuff, but we got to build social first. We got to build a platform. We got to get a user base. We've got to get people liking the app, and like, okay, let's make it simple. Let's really define what simple is and bring it down to the simplest form. And I think that's what, even like when I think of football, right? It's like an offense in football. It's like you got to have an identity. You got to keep what your base has got to be simple. Like, what's your bread and butter, and then you can develop all these different, you know, uh, routes, or different looks and different things of your offense or what you want to do. You can add some gimmicks. You can add some reverses. You can add this and this and this and the option or the RPO. You can add all this stuff, but you got to get a base first. You got to build a
Right.
base and identity, and people got to know who you are, and you got to have that elevator pitch. And anyways, that's a long answer, but you got to be solid at the little things in the beginning. And then you got to sell the dream when you're out raising money, because these people want to go, okay, what are you really building here? Where y'all want to go with this? Those are the questions that potential investors have. And so you got to work on the small stuff, but you got to sell the dream at the same time. And that's the fun part, but it's not easy. It's you got to
Yeah.
think two different ways, and depending on who you're talking to, and you never know when a potential investor is in the room, or at a dinner, or you might be talking over here about something else and some guy overhears you, and then you got to get back into, okay, let's sell the dream real quick. This is who we want to be. This is who we want to be, but we're not there yet. We got to work on it over here. So it's just, it's a
That's
fine
it.
line.
Yeah, no, and you nailed it. I mean, it's all about hitting those singles, and like your Nick Saban, comparison, having those tangible goals. Yes, you have the big audacious goal of where you want to get in a year or 2 years, whatever. But what does tomorrow look like? What does Monday of next week look like? What does success look like there?
Yeah.
And making sure that everybody on the team, you can take the time and enjoy that success, because that success is hard to get
Yeah.
to. Whatever success looks like for you guys next Tuesday will be difficult to get to. Maybe it's raising some capital. Maybe it's getting through, the beta round one, and it ending up how you want it to. That's a success. Take time and celebrate that. Then focus on the next thing, because, like you said, you can't get exotic with your play calling if your quarterback and center have snap and handling issues.
Yes.
You have to. You almost kind of have to walk before you can, or crawl before you can walk a
That's
bit.
100% right. I mean, you couldn't hit it better. It's like you can't get into multiple sets and formations if you can't get the base right. You know what I'm saying? So let's get the base right, get everybody excited about what we have done, and knowing that that's where we want to go. But that we're going to get there way down the road. And it takes, like in our business, it's taken a whole lot longer than we'd ever wanted to get here. And it can discourage you at times, because you're sitting there month after month and we're 6 months
Yeah.
behind on the tech. But there's more to it usually than you ever can estimate in the beginning. And people tell you, well, man, don't don't go to market with it too early. Don't do this, or why are you not already in the app store? I mean, we've heard everything over the last year or so, and it's like, dude, we're working on this thing. Just get ready, because it's coming. And so you got to kind of sometimes even flip the script on people that might have wonder what the heck you're doing. Our
Sure.
brothers are like, dude, when are y'all ever gonna get this thing launched? You know what I'm saying? they're just pushing
Yeah.
us, but it's fun because we're like, dude, when it's coming, it's gonna be nice, something that you guys are proud of, and we're gonna be proud of it. And so, we've been trying to get this thing ready for football season, and we're already in week 7 of the college season, and we're just now really launching. We were hoping to do it at the beginning, but you can't let that discourage you. It's like I think sports teaches you a lot about life, and it's like, what,
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you might not be an all pro as a rookie, but you could get there. So it's like, it's fun to kind of have the sports backgrounds for us and my family. But you hit the nail on the head. Nothing comes easy. Everybody be doing it if it was, and you got to pay your dues, baby.
That's it. Yeah. No, I mean, and going back to kind of like you were talking about with the timeline, it does kind of feel like it's a left brain, right brain kind of thing, because how you sell what you want to that audience, or the idea of Bula, and that it's just like a travel agent. They don't sell you on the boat; they sell you about what Cancun's going to be like. So you almost kind of have to be in that same vein of, this is what Bula's going to be like, while at the same time having the analytical, the project management brain of the day to day. And I feel like, especially for entrepreneurs, and especially when you're kind of doing it yourself or with a small team, that can get tough,
Yeah.
because you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page, saying the same thing. Do you guys ever work together when it comes to, if you guys are out at, say, a networking event, or at anything kind of promoting Bula? Do you guys ever work around, like, what everybody's kind of saying about what Bula is?
A little bit. We like to kind of set the narrative a little bit too. It's like, we're the Disney version of gambling. We're not. So I guess we have a way to turn it if it ever kind of goes in a weird direction. We turn it back to where we're at and where we where where we want to go with this thing. And it's just people, they think obviously if you say gambling, they think, okay, it's going to be a bookie. It's we're not MGM. It's saying we're a
Yeah.
social call to action, social challenge. And I think that's what we've kind of kept it. We've never even mentioned betting on any marketing material because we don't want people to get it too twisted. We want to be a challenge app, and we want to catch all the little everyday gambles that people do. But we don't really ever say bet. We don't really say gambling. We say wagering is about as much as we go, and that's still kind of a betting term too. We really just we want it to be a call to action, and we want people to understand that you can actually bet your buddies on there, and that's going to happen fast because people start thinking, well, it's if I'm going head to head, that's a bet. You know what I'm saying? So we want people to think of Bula as a bet without ever saying bet. So we kind of steer that narrative all the time.
Yeah, that's great to almost kind of have your own verbiage lexicon that you use. You don't use bet, you don't use these other words, because the more that you guys do that and are cautious
Yeah.
around how you do it and prescriptive around how you do it, other people and consumers will catch on because they won't have heard bet from you.
Yep.
They won't have heard wager or anything else. They will have heard the words that you guys use, and that will just kind of help to reaffirm
Exactly.
that it's a social challenge app. It's not BetMGM. It's not something
Yeah, we
else.
want people to start saying, "Let's put a Bula on it," but it's really, down, down deep. It's like a bet, but it's not. It's like, well, let's put a Bula on it. That's go to the app, download. In what we've tried to do is in 8 or 10 seconds be able to create it, so it's fast. You know what I'm saying? And it won't be fast in the beginning. The first time you do it, it's going to be 30 seconds to a minute on trying to figure out how to do it. But once you figure it out, you'll be able to do it in 10 seconds and do it while a game is on, or why your kid's playing a high school football game, or we're going to score on this possession. I'll give you 10. I'll bet you $10. Let's put a bowl on it, and that's how it happens. And
Nice.
once two people are on it, the other person that you want to do a bula with, and it's super fast because they just accept the notification and it's locked in. So that's kind of where we're
That's
trying to
cool.
get to. Yeah.
So I guess kind of before we wrap up, I want to make sure to give you the floor is completely yours. Tell people how they can get involved with Bula, where they can find you, what's coming next, how they can connect with you if they have questions, all of that
Sure,
good stuff.
sure. So our web address is bulachallenge.com, and we have a cool website. We've got videos on there. There's a lot of stuff that we're doing right now to raise money. We're doing a We Funder campaign. So we raised 1.5 million in friends and family money, and then we launched a We Funder campaign to raise $500,000, and we've raised 225 of that. So there is a We Funder campaign, and it's under Bula Challenge / Bula Challenge. And we did that as kind of a marketing play for us to get loyal brand ambassadors out there all over the place that put a little money into Bula, and then they'll follow it. They'll be like I said, brand ambassadors, people that will be out there kind of, the mouthpiece of wherever they're at, for Bula. And so we did that as a
Heck
marketing
yeah.
play, and we'll go to Series A once we launch and have pretty good little base of users and usage. And I think that'll be the beginning of next year, January or so. We'll start that raise, and we're super excited about that. That's going to bring us to a whole nother level in terms of team members and marketing campaigns and stuff like that. Right now, we're trying to organically put this thing together, do some fun events, but we don't have the marketing dollars of some of these big boys. So we've got to consider where we're at and where we're going, and that Series A is going to be used for a ton of marketing, and there'll be some tech costs in there, but the initial money that we've raised, a lot of that has gone to tech to build this thing, and to bring in some team members, to do some marketing campaigns, to start the merch store. We're doing a lot of awesome stuff, and so this Friday we're launching in Baton Rouge at Fred's. in Tigerland, and we think 3,000 to 5,000 people are going to be there on Friday night with us. We're doing a bar takeover. Barstool's going to be there doing radio with me Friday, and then Saturday they do their game day set at Fred's. So what a weekend at Fred's to be there. Ole Miss is in Baton Rouge playing the Tigers. They're undefeated, so they're going to travel. So it's a fun weekend in Baton Rouge, and then Thanksgiving week on Friday night we're going to do an event at the Iron Bowl for Alabama Auburn in Tuscaloosa, which will be exactly the same thing as we're doing now. And what we're trying to get is 1,000 or so downloads. We're going to have ground teams around the stadium, and the Bula girls will be walking around getting content from like the Indian Mounds and parade grounds and stuff like that. The tailgate areas of LSU, and then that'll happen at Alabama too in a month. But we want to have these two events and then kind of see where we're at, and then start utilizing influencer marketing, NIL deals, college campuses are where we want to break this brand, and we know that's social kind of goes from the younger generations up. To be honest with you, TikTok goes up. You got 80-year-old ladies doing dance-offs on TikTok. And it's like, but it really started with the kids, and we know we're not dumb that's where brands are broke. And whether you're talking about Red Bull or 5 Hour Energy, they all went through the young kids, the college kids, events, event marketing, campus, university marketing campaigns, campus marketing campaigns. So that's what we're trying to do, and we're keeping our costs down too, which is fun. But it's Bula Challenge. We're in the Apple Store and Android. We're on Android too in the App Store. So you can download us today. Friday we're going to have a new version out, which will be version 1, which will be fun with a lot of the growth loops and contacts and followers, where you can follow friends and do all that now. So it's a good week for us.
Man, that's huge. And I will make sure that all of that is also added in the description, so that anybody that watches this, checks out the podcast, any of that kind of stuff, it makes it super easy for them to click right in, check out all the cool stuff that Bula's doing. Josh, this has been fantastic. Thank you for your time. I have no doubt it's going to crush it this weekend in Tigerland. As always, go Tigers and go Bula. And thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate you having me. This has been real fun. I can't wait to hang with you some. And for what it's worth, man, I really appreciate you having me on the show. And put a Bula on it, baby. Put a Bula on it.
That's it. Heck yeah, buddy. Well, have a good one. Thanks, Josh.
David. Bye.
Freedom over fame. Freedom over cycle stays the same.